Oh, what a wonderful feeling to be alive today. Good morning to Rubilette and good morning to Warner over there in Market Street. I hope the normal listeners in Nevis is listening this morning. 2 programs to go, today and tomorrow. And I could feel this from the bottom of my heart, in spite of the fact that many things did not go as well as I would like them to go here at WINN FM. The bottom line is, I want to thank WINN FM very much. Think about it, folks, for giving me an opportunity to speak. Not only for me, but on your behalf, those of you who can't talk or afraid to speak your mind because somebody might subjugate you. This morning, let's pay attention for the first couple minutes to the fact that ZIZ don't want me. I couldn't go on 90.3 again, and you know the rest. And then WINN FM decide to take me over in Nevis. I could get on the station in Nevis, but I have to tape my programs. This morning, I, Carlton DuPont, want to thank God. And the main thing I want to think about this morning is the fact that when I walk in the studio, the system here at WINN FM seems to be working perfect. Any one of you listening and you find any problems, maybe you could tell me. I will try get on to those in charge. But for what I'm seeing here in WINN FM, it looked to me like the system working very good. Don't forget Big Lice will be here. Let's start the show.
Excuse me, sir. I'm looking for DuPont's jewelry. Do you know where it is?
Go straight ahead and you will see the sign Pelican Mall. Once you get there, go inside and ask for Carlton Talk Puppy DuPont.
Is that the name of the store?
It's DuPont's jewelry. They're small enough to know you and large enough to serve you. If you have a newborn baby and want to know if he or she is sick, DuPont is the man to find you that special silver bracelet.
What about wedding bands? I'm getting married next month, you know.
Congratulations! DuPont's jewelry now has special engagement rings with affordable prices. They also have the latest shades and glasses frames.
Great! I think I'm gonna buy some shades for my fiancé and nephew in Nevis.
I'm glad you mentioned Nevis, because all Nevisians who come to shop at the store, DuPont will reimburse their ferry fee.
Wow! That's amazing! Thanks for the info. I must hurry to DuPont's jewelry right away.
Happy shopping at DuPont's jewelry store. Have a nice day.
Is your pocket low and don't know where to get some quick cash? Do you have gold in your possession? Are they worn, broken, or you're just downright tired of them? Well, I've got the best solution for you. Take all your unwanted jewelry and run on down to DuPont's jewelry store, where he'll give you cash for your gold. No matter what condition it's in, DuPont's will take care of you. It's an opportunity you can't afford to pass on. I mean, me too, because right now I broke, and I got a broken hand chain and 2 non-matching earrings at home. So I go and get them and run on down to DuPont's and see if he could dab me hand with something of consequence. DuPont, no shut the door yet. I come in.
Call 869-661-0037.
I want to thank Mac very much. That's the labor man, Mac. He called me and he told me the system is working good. Thank you very much, Mac. And I hope you have a very good day today. Folks, as we approach the election, we have done the work. It's up to the electorate to make that good and wise decision, not to vote for Labour, not to vote for PLP, but to vote for the People's Action Movement, and to vote for the CCM party, the concerned movement over there in Nevis. Concerned Citizen Movement. The work has been done. In the next 2 days, those of you who listening me, in your campaign, be careful in your deliberation. Be careful what you say, because what you say could get you in trouble. Let's go to the board and play our first song, and then when we come back, we have prayer. Listen the words of this song.
Oh yes, oh yes. Rise up, children of God. Let the devil know he's defeated. Rise up above the sky. March on, and never stop. Don't let them silence you. Oh no, oh no. Don't let them worry you. Oh no, oh no. They can never crush you. Don't believe the disbelievers. If you follow God's words, you won't be deceived. Don't give up. Keep the faith. God will always be there, and He will always show you the way. The hardest part of the race is the start, but you must keep the faith. Don't give in to temptation. The journey may seem long, but you must show strength and be strong. Think of the end reward, everlasting life. Walk with God side by side in the sweet by and by. Keep your head up high and try. Rise up above the sky. March on, and never stop. Don't let them silence you. Oh no, oh no. Don't let them worry you. Oh no, oh no. They can never crush you. Don't believe the disbelievers. If you follow God's words, you won't be deceived. Don't give up. Keep the faith. God will always be there, and He will always show you the way. Sometimes you get discouraged and want to turn back. You feel like you're missing out. You feel like you're on the wrong track. Get on your knees and pray. Ask Him to show you the way. In the morning and at the end of day, ask the Lord to help you not to stray. He will listen and answer. He will guide you for sure. He lives forevermore. Rise up above the sky. March on, and never stop. Don't let them silence you. Oh no, oh no. Don't let them worry you. Oh no, oh no. They can never crush you. Don't believe the disbelievers. If you follow God's words, you won't be deceived. Don't give up. Keep the faith. God will always be there, and He will always show you the way. Rise up above the sky. March on, and never stop. Don't let them silence you. Oh no, oh no. Don't let them worry you. Oh no, oh no. They can never crush you. Don't believe the disbelievers. If you follow God's words, you won't be deceived. Don't give up. Keep the faith. God will always be there, and He will always show you the way. Rise up.
Praise the Lord. What a very, very good song to take us through. Let us pray. Jehovah God, I thank you very much for sparing my life to see another day today. And I ask you please to go with me and direct me in this broadcast. Those listeners around the world and in St. Kitts Nevis, I do hope that they will pay attention to the broadcast today. And they too, even those who undecided, have not made up their mind yet, they will get some benefit from the program this morning. Even when Big Lies comes, they too might have a chance to listen to this man who is plain speak against any political party that is doing wrong, in his opinion. Jehovah God, I pray for those who are sick this morning, that you'll remember them and ease their burden a bit, because in this life, we have to learn to take on certain challenges on our own, in spite of the fact that we are praying to you. Things would not drop out the sky like a pie in our lap. We have to have endurance. Lord, I ask you to purify my heart, purify my thoughts. Give me the words to speak this morning, the scripture to read, the songs to play. Go with me each step of the way, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Jehovah, the giver of every good gift and every perfect present, has bestowed on each of us a variety of gifts. In the Bible book of Philippians chapter 4 verse 19, the Bible says, in turn, my God will fully supply all my needs according to his riches in glory by means of Christ Jesus. This morning I want to thank God that I have a body, a mind, a measure of health, and various abilities to do things on my own. However, Jehovah does not simply force any one of us to live a good and righteous and clean life. We have to work hard towards it. He will never force us to do what is right. God always allows human to choose for ourselves whether we will develop a quality to love him or to go away from him. Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice to have a choice? Certainly, I think it's good. But we need to examine, though, no matter what choice is before us, we need to examine what is integrity. You see, the word integrity is used loosed in the world today because integrity is so good. Let us read a little thing about it. What is integrity? Well, what we are going to read here, Timothy Harris, he doesn't know anything about what we're going to read. He is a failed leader, he is a bad leader, and he will never lead this country again. That I am sure of. What is integrity? Many people seem to have a hazy idea of what is integrity. Listen this. Many people seem to have a hazy idea of what integrity is. For example, when politicians boast of their integrity, they often seem to mean honesty. Now let's stop here for a minute. Timothy knows nothing about honesty. If Timothy Harris had any idea what the word honesty mean, he would have been able to tell some conda them how much money the PLP party had. Up to now, he has not. So you cannot think about honesty when it comes to Timothy. Look at Timothy masquerading on the phone, on the TV again yesterday, I was told. I was told that he was on the TV. You see, I don't listen to him at all, so I wouldn't know what he says. Whatever comes out of his mouth, I would know. Yes, politicians like to boast of their integrity, and they often seem to mean honesty. That quality is important, but it is only a part of integrity as used in the Bible. Integrity involves moral completeness and soundness of mind. Look what Timothy Harris did for 7 years. He used ZIZ TV and radio to undermine his own colleagues. You're listening to me? Timothy used ZIZ radio and television to pull in the commissioner of police, to pull in doctors, to pull in nurses, and surround himself with all of the good quality things happening in this country, not Team Unity, Team Timothy, the leader, a wicked man and an ungrateful man, and we'll get rid of him from politics by Saturday morning. Let me tell you something that I have here in my hand to read. It's important to me. The Hebrew words relating to integrity comes from a root meaning sound, whole, and faultless. Now, who in this life could be sound? Who in this life could be whole? Who in this life could be faultless? Let me give you a little idea about life. In the Bible book of Ecclesiastes 7, verse 29, the Bible says, This alone I have found, that the true God made mankind upright, but they have sought out many schemes. The true God, Ecclesiastes 7:29, write it down please. The true God made man upright, but they have sought out many schemes. You see that program Timothy Harris uses with ZIZ radio and television working for you? He was working for himself. People don't stone empty mango tree. People don't stone empty mango tree. Look at the way Timothy Harris deal with Nevis, his fatherland, underhandedness. Look at the fact that Nevisians cannot get the right money from CBI funds. Under Timothy, almost $3 billion was collected at between under the government here in St. Kitts. Almost $3 billion was collected between 2007 and 2021. Out of that, Nevis get just a little over 320 million. We're talking about $3 billion. He knows that, and he tried to keep the Nevisians in a corner. Listen this. In 2015 to 2021, under Timothy Harris' rule, $3 billion was collected. How much you think Nevis get? 321 million. From 2007 to 2021, St. Kitts received over $5 billion. How much Nevis get? Just a little under 400 million. These are the things we have to think about Timothy. A stained man, an ungrateful man, a man in whom you cannot trust. You cannot trust Timothy Harris. He's wicked. He's evil. You remember Timothy used to say, family and leadership matters. Is it thing now? Family and so done with. How politician could do that? In Parliament, Marty reminded me. I haven't seen Marty for days because of the holiday and so. But think about Timothy Harris in Parliament. Sean opposition, Mark Brantley opposition, Lindsey Grant opposition, Jonel Powell opposition was never in front them. Understand what Marty asked me to bring to you, folks. In Parliament, Timothy Harris was the opposition to his own side in Parliament. When you in Parliament, your opposition in front you. Marty told me, do not allow this election to come without you explain to the congregation that with Timothy Harris, Sean, Mark, Alexis, Evelyn, Jonel Powell, and Lindsey Grant, their opposition was behind them. Who was behind them? Timothy Harris. Let me tell you something all you don't know. God is going to punish Timothy Harris really bad. You are listening to me? Timothy Harris going to get a whipping. Timothy Harris going to get a punishment from God. By the way, yesterday I went Nevis for about 5 hours. And quite a number of people all around the world, especially out of Florida, you know who you are, send texts on my phone to say, Mr. DuPont, don't get no blood pressure. I want to see you do well after election. I don't take those encouragement from whoever send them. I don't know anything about the phone. But whoever send those messages, I want to say thanks very much to you all, because there were many of them. Thanks to you all for your consideration towards me. But I believe I am going to be all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank the husband and wife in Tatola for sending me a big donation months ago for paying for my program. And let me tell you something. People in New York, I remember one lady out of a hospital in New York called me one morning and she said, look, I don't know you, mister, but I love the way you're looking after your country. Go and get $200 from Western Union. I feel good. Thanks to all of you around the world who have supported my program. I wish I could have continued on radio because quite a number of people all around the world, they like to hear me. Many of you get up at mornings though, and you don't like parts of my program. But I want to remind you, that is how life works. You don't like everything about people. Now let's go back to Timothy Harris. Truth don't need no defense. We need ministers of government who could declare their assets. Timothy can't do that. And so in government, Timothy had never made any move to create an atmosphere of accountability. Accountability brings productivity. I want you people who listen in this broadcast to understand that accountability brings productivity. We must have people in government who will declare their assets, like Mark Brantley. We need urgent Public Integrity Act. We need freedom of information. Let me ask you something. Do you think all those pillows that had been smashed aside by Timothy Harris, if he could not establish those pillows with Mark Brantley and his team, Sean Richards and his team, would he do it with this jokey team that he has? And let me ask you an important question that Simmons is asking. Which of those, which one of them could go overseas to represent this country as a foreign minister like Mark Brantley, who will be traveling shortly to Europe to save the CBI program? These are the kind of things we got to think about in this country before we vote for Labour, before we vote for PLP. You hear all kind of radio program. I make early morning prime time, and they use it on the other station to pull down Pam, not just Timothy. They're using the other radio station to pull down Pam, but Pam is stronger than ever. Pam is stronger than ever. Pam will win the election, not on their own, because no political party in this country could win an election on their own. None. We all know that, but we're playing games. We know that Labour can win 6 seats. We know that Timothy can win 6 seats. And we know that Pam cannot win 6 seats. If any one of them could have won or thought they could win 6 seats, well, why didn't they bet me? Let's go back to our program here. What is integrity? Many people seem to have a hazy idea of what integrity is. Politicians keep boasting about their integrity. But where is the act to prove that they're interested in it? The Hebrew word relating to integrity comes from a root meaning sound, whole, and faultless. So mankind, God made mankind upright, but they continue to sort out their own scheme. But let me send a clear message. Let me be elusive to Timothy today. None of us can escape the consequences of our action. And those in Labour and those commentators who fighting to keep down Pam people, listen to Carlton DuPont today. Do not stay home. Go out and vote in your numbers and show stupid Timothy Harris and show the amount of Labour people who have no use for Pam, who have created a massive foundation in this country. I read some of the things for you yesterday, some of the achievement of the People's Action Movement. Let's vote strongly against the Labour supporters. Let's vote strongly against Timothy Harris and prove that Timothy ain't Pam. Timothy gave people an impression in this country like he Timothy, is Pam. He's the stronghold and the bedrock of Pam. Let's prove him wrong. Everything that we do in our life have a payday. And Job 34:11 clearly state, for he will reward a man according to what he does and bring upon him the consequences of his ways. Remember, in Galatians 6:7, the Bible says, whatever a man sow, he will also reap. Nothing lasts forever. Let me tell you something what God showed me this morning when I woke up very early to do reflection. If Timothy Harris was any good, he had the greatest opportunity to bring St. Kitts and Nevis to a place where nobody could believe. But number one, he hate Mark Brantley. Number two, he really don't have no love for the vision, and he treat them like he's spoon feeding them, and they will show him at the polls. Mark Brantley, Alexis Jeffords, and Eric Evelyn will win their seats in Nevis easily. Sean Richards, Lindsey Grant, John L. Powell will win their seats easily. What would Labour do? What would Timothy Harris do? They can't do anything. Timothy Harris is working hard to cheat the election. The people them who working in the system and allowing people from overseas to come home, they drop the ball. They should have told Timothy plain out, we're dropping all these things for the election. There's nothing happening in COVID in our country. Carlton, don't say anything bad about them today. Neither tomorrow. Leave vengeance to God, Carlton. Carlton, you know about the Bible. Carlton, you're a spiritual man. Leave vengeance to God. But I am totally disappointed that Kittitians and Nevisians overseas have to write to come home to St. Kitts to vote in an election. Shame on you. So many people in this country allow Timothy Harris to have them like Pappy Shows and Macadrumby. That is why I'm so disappointed with Sanja Atherton. That is why I'm so disappointed with Patches and Michael Powell and Nital. They all know better. Look at Juicy Byron. Look at $27,000 Wendy Phipps. She didn't want nobody know that she get $27,000. She wasn't supposed to get no money. Wendy Phipps, let me ask you something this morning. Your investigation and Lindsey Grant stop? Your investigation and Sean Richards stop? Why you stop them? You stop them because I catch you with the 27,000. Wendy Phipps, you're a big joker. You have lost your respect in this country, Wendy Phipps. Wendy Phipps, you have lost your respect in this country as a decent, respectable woman. You allow Timothy to fool you. Look at Sidney Osborne, a big teacher. A big teacher. I am so disappointed with Sidney Osborne and Jean Hamilton. Jean Hamilton hurt the heart of the people in Cairn. Jean Hamilton was a government minister and could not even hire a maid. Jean Hamilton was a government minister. People elect him in number 8 and he could not even hire a maid under Timothy Harris, his friend. From the time, in my opinion, from the time Jean Hamilton went to Dubai, that was his problem. And let me tell you something. Many of you out there believe that Timothy Harris, that Jean Hamilton have a problem with Timothy Harris. Yes. He have a problem with Lindsey them too. He might even got a problem with your own self. And so no one expected that Jean Hamilton will ever vote for Chesley Hamilton. So don't allow your minds to be disrupted on that. Calm yourself. We all have sinned and fall short of God's standard. When this election is over and CCM and PAM form the government, we must be forgiving to those who hurt us. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to DuPont. I am bringing a spiritual message. Thank you, WINN FM. Thank you, WINN FM. All did not go well with me with WINN FM, with the programming here. But this morning, I want you all consider for a moment, if it wasn't for WINN FM, you all would have been able to hear me this morning? The answer is no. Elusive. Thanks to WINN FM. This morning, God wants me to say it quite a number of times because of the fact that I am a man can speak my mind. I will tell WINN FM how I feel, and I'll say good things about them too. That is why a lot of people don't like me in this country. But you don't have to like me because God loved me. And I'll continue to make a sacrifice. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. In this last 11 months that I have been working on the radio, it is a sacrifice. And I enjoy it. A gentleman who I will never call his name on the radio, he keeps sending me some things on my phone. I remind you that what I'm doing is a sacrifice. And anything that involves a sacrifice comes with hard work. In Job 14, 1 and 2, the Bible says, man born of woman is short-lived and glutted with agitation. Like a blossom he has come forth and is cut off, and he runs away like a shadow and does not keep existing. Look at the traits of Timothy Harris. In St. Kitts, we continue to have the wrong way of doing things right. I, Carlton DuPont, I am going to continue to hold the politicians accountable for what they say. Only if God tell me stop, I will stop. When this election is over, PAM and CCM form the government. I want an opportunity to be on radio to keep the feet to the fire. And I am expecting Sean Richards to find a program for me on ZIZ. Folks, when PAM and CCM form the government, they need to give the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party a program on ZIZ so they can speak about their party. They need to give NRP a program on ZIZ so NRP could speak about their party. And when we do that, we promote democracy, the pillars of which Timothy has pushed down with a bulldozer, like how some who he knows push down the land to build a new prison. Why do we need a prison? Why not a hospital? Why not build up our schools? The school system going down. The teachers said that. The politician in this country, Marty, asked me to remind you all, if they don't tell lies, they believe that a murder charge will be against them. And when Timothy Harris went to PAM convention, and he get the blows from Mark Brantley and the blows from Sean Richards, they suited him. And it was a good thing to show him that you're stupid, you're a big-time fool, you sit right there, you don't move. You think this is a Wendy Phipps you use now? But he sent Wendy Phipps down to take Lindsey position and investigate Sean and Lindsey. Look at how Timothy Harris treat workers who work in cricket at Warner Park. Look at how Timothy Harris treat the customs officers. The customs officers in this country, they are important. We must respect them. Timothy Harris have no use for the good workers at the customs department in this country. No increment. I told you this yesterday, but it must be said again. Timothy Harris robbed some customs officers of their increment. Timothy Harris robbed customs officers of appointing them. Timothy Harris robbed customs officers of their overtime. Those hard-working people. And let me ask Wendy Phipps something. Wendy, when you went and put in that $27,000, then move away and say you don't want nobody, say it's you organize it. You didn't know the paper gonna leak. Why didn't you put in something for Carl Brown and the hard-working nurses at Jane France and over in Nevis? The ambulance drivers, the orderly, all those who kept the place clean, the cooks. Look how they treat under Akila Byron. Look how the chefs in the hospital have been treated badly. Akila Byron gonna get some blows in this election. She will never believe it. Who will cause that? Not just she herself. All of a sudden she playing stupid like a macadrambi. Not just Akila herself, but Timothy Harris is the one who will make Akila lose. That stupid man named Timothy Harris. That is why I can't be in certain station, because you're not supposed to call him stupid, even though he double stupid. We will get rid of him by Saturday out of politics. I just want you to know that Jehovah himself examine the righteous one as well as the wicked one, and anyone loving violence his soul certainly hates. For Jehovah is righteous, and he does love righteous acts. Do not try to make dishonest profit in your life. Do not try to make dishonest profit in your life. Turn with me to our first scripture this morning. We're going to read it. Proverbs 15. Ladies and gentlemen, do not play around with this country. Vote for Pam. Vote for Pam next to the hat. Vote for CCM next to the hammer. The brightest hope St. Kitts and Nevis have is a coalition government, not a Labour government. Labour don't like Nevis. Labour don't have no use for Nevis. Come, let me tell you something. If Labour... Hot, come off me head now, man. You got me hot. Even though the air conditioner on. Come off me head hot. If Labour had any likeness for Nevis, you would have been hearing it in their campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let anybody fool you. The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, they don't have no love for Nevis. If Labour had any love for Nevis, I don't care who vex, they would have been showing it in their campaign. They would have involved things in their campaign that would incorporate Nevis. Our first scripture, read scripture from the Bible, is Proverbs 15:17. Let's read it together. It says, better is a dish of vegetables where there is love than a fattened bull where there is hatred. Timothy has the fattened bull, but he hates so many people in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you something important. If we ever make the mistake, allow Timothy to run this country again, the hatred, the problems that will accumulate in this country would be unbelievable. Oh, let me remind you of something very stupid yesterday by a lady that someone sent to me on the phone trying to bring down Lindsey Grant. And I got a feeling this was organized by Timothy Harris. Yes, I got a feeling this was organized by Timothy Harris. Give me 5 seconds here. I want to change a song that I had in, and I want to put in this song here because I want to play it shortly. Yes. So let me explain something to you. Yesterday I was home because I decided I'm not going anywhere. And then later in the morning when I woke up, I took a shower and went to Nevis. So we really don't know how our day will go, except we ask God to ground us. There's a video going around trying to put the public or give the public an awareness in number 4 seat that Lindsey Grant has done injustice to Austin. Somebody send it to my phone. Now, Austin is the man who helped Grant to win the seat every time. Along with the guy, the baby, who does run an next program over there, we all work together. That guy hate Grant with a passion. I don't know the reason for it, but that's up to him. Some baby program they got on another station every morning, they're on right now. Some Papi Sean Macajumbi might be there with him too. So, this lady is accusing Grant for even not taking care of Austin. Now, let me show you how stupid that woman is. If that woman had sense, lady, you so stupid. If Lindsey Grant had done that to Austin, Austin would have been working so good with him, so hard with him. I know a lot of things that going on between Austin and Lindsey. Good things I'm talking about. Lady, you so stupid. If Timothy Harris send you out, you ain't went to university. Why you don't use your brains that God give you? How you could make such a stupid video? Who you expect voting for Grant in number 4 would no longer vote for him because your stupid comment that you made might have been written for you by Timothy Harris. You stupid woman. You sound like you're educated, you speak well. But you need to go back to my school. And I'm going to teach you some of what Washington Archibald has taught me, or had taught me, because he died. Stupid woman! You're a stupid woman! Boy, you're involving Lindsey Grant with something to do with Austin out of Old Road. Grant gonna beat you so easy, you will never believe. Lindsey Grant will beat number 4 because the people know about Lindsey Grant. By the way, let me play a song and come back and tell you about Lindsey Grant. I just remember, I got a document here. Let me look for it. Stupid woman. But Grant and Austin, even Austin that is so close to him, he has a problem with. Far from the truth. Far from the truth. Let me go in my bag and look for something with Lindsey Grant.
Survival is a hell for brother man. In every nation in the Caribbean, we suffering down in the Caribbean. And it's all because of stinking oppression. Repressive education for a chosen few. So many brothers on the corner, cause no school to go, no work to do. The crying sin kids, the crying Nevis, in Antigua, in Dominica, oppressors, leave we alone. Oppressors, come off the bone.
Folks, I tell all you already, I don't tell lies, you know. I tell all you already, I don't tell lies. Oh, you know the amount of people calling me and telling me the lady who coming after Lindsey Grant, she have a lot of cobweb in she cupboard. I can't understand St. Kitts people. Lindsey Grant that had done so much in this country. Lindsey Grant is the one in cabinet. Tell Timothy Harris, you want us get a raise? We ain't gonna take no raise. Me Lindsey Grant ain't want no raise. Until you give the people outside a 10% increase. Folks, I want you to know, a 10% increase is better than giving you $500 or $1,000 when an election come, I see certain people calling me. So let me put back on the song. I don't want you all full up my phones with calls, because I would not be able to get Big Lies call, and at this late hour, I don't want to treat Big Lies in any way funny, because I appreciate Big Lies coming on my program when many others fail to come. Please, I am not doing it in a derogatory way. If you keep calling me, so many people keep calling me, when Big Lies reach downstairs, I won't be able to get his call. Let's go back to the board and let me make a special call.
Survival is a hell for brother man. In every nation in the Caribbean, we suffering down in the Caribbean. And it's all because of stinking oppression, repressive education for a chosen few. So many brothers on the corner, cause no school to go, no work to do. Crying sin kids, be crying this in Antigua, in Dominica, oppressors, leave we alone. Oppressors, come off the bone. Colonialism went, oh that I know, but oppression never ever let we go. They granted independence few by few, but oppressors never ever left them to. With his imperialistic game plan, he monopolized the land. Now the people of the Caribbean ain't got much food, ain't got much land. The crying Bimsha, Erie back in Grenada, in Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana, oppressors, leave we alone. Oppressors, come off the bone. The thing that hurt me most about oppression is the involvement of we politicians.
Listen.
You vote, brother, to help fight oppression. Brother, get in there and join the bandwagon. You oppose the ruling party, you become an enemy, and you could swear to Jah Almighty. That's your destiny, your destiny.
So let me tell you something. I am getting lots of calls. And I want to make it clear that a particular individual just called me and said, DuPont, when you're speaking about the Lindsey Grant affair, where the lady who was told by Timothy to do that video, I believe it. I believe Timothy told her to do it. I believe so. People must go and check she house where she's living, not to burn it down. You know I'm not in those things. But she house roof fix better than everybody else house. Roof is the roofing program she talking about. I didn't know it's the roofing program she talking about. I thought she blaming Lindsey Grant, generally speaking, as a man who not doing any good in this country. Let me tell she, and let me tell Dwyer Astafan and all them who open the other station trying to eliminate Pam. They can't get it though. Lindsey Grant has proven himself in this country. Lindsey Grant has proven himself in this country. Talking points for the DuPont experience pertaining to Lindsey Grant life. The 10% increase announcement was designed to fool Kittition into thinking that Timothy Harris really loved them and care about them. That's a lie. Here is the truth. Since October last year, when Cabinet was negotiating an increase for parliamentarians, Lindsey Grant was adamant that he is not taking any increase unless civil servants get an increase of at least 10%. So all who going after Lindsey, you need to understand that Lindsey was the one who stood up for you. You the working class people, and not greedy, wicked, unfaithful, unrighteous, jealous Timothy Harris. So here is a message for all those of you in constituency number 4 who going after Lindsey because you feel you have not gotten personal favors. Remember, the 10% increase negotiated on your behalf. Think about that. When you get a 10% increase, it's for the rest of your life while you're working with the government. Think about that, my friend. Lindsey had your back, and you did not even realize it. He knew that giving you 10% increase over the rest of your working life, listen this folks, over the rest of your working life was better than giving you a $200 in your pocket, a $500 in your pocket, $1,000 whenever election comes. Your 10% is your 10% for life as long as you're in the workforce. So let me tell the woman this morning, and let me tell Dwyer Astafan, Dwyer, you cannot get Lindsey Grant come out of office. Lindsey Grant would be returned. You, Dwyer Astafan, and all of you must go off the air. All of you must go. Every one of you must go off the air, and let me go back. The next time, Timothy, many times after Lindsey Grant did this, Timothy Harris sought to go after Mark Brantley as well too, you know. Mark Brantley, Timothy tried to push Mark Brantley in a corner by withholding Nevis' rightful money and forcing Mark to struggle to pay a 10% in Nevis, his fatherland. 7% out of CBI money, Timothy giving to Nevis, our sister. 7%, leaving with 93%. So Mark Brantley was forced to pay a 5% from 7%, but all Timothy could have given you is 10% out of 93%. I got the paper in my hand. Something tell me must bring it today. Because I remember that stupid comment yesterday by the woman down in number 4. Believe that people gonna study her and don't vote for Grant. If she and all smart, she vote for Grant too. But look here, Mark is a lawyer. But he's a better economist than Timothy himself, who is taking government money. He get government money and went away to study. Dr. Denzel Douglas, Prime Minister, allowed Timothy to go away to study when he should have been in St. Kitts. But he, Timothy, thought he could fool Mark or force Mark to borrow money, to pay back money, to pay the 10% over in Nevis. But Mark backed him up in a corner. Mark shows that with 7%, he gonna pay them 5% over there. And in the next 2-3 years, they will get a 15% total, still from 7%. Doing it in the event Timothy was still there as Prime Minister. But thanks to God, Timothy would not be the Prime Minister come Saturday. But look here. Nivision need to understand that you have an economist in Mark Brantley who is second to none. Look what Mark did. Hey, I love Mark Brantley so much. Mark say, Tim want me to borrow money to give you a 10%. I say no. I can do better than that. I will not, but will give Nivisions a 5% now. 5% in January 2023 and a 5% in January 2024. Nivisions, that is a total of 15%, you know, from now till 2024. That's just 2 years from now. So Nivision, tell all your brothers and sisters, you know, remember, in St. Kitts, to pick sense out of nonsense. And make sure they put a government in place who look after the people in Nevis. Lindsey Grant may talk about and Mark Brantley, two of those who Timothy don't like. Timothy will do anything in his power to make sure that John L. Powell and Lindsey Grant lose their seat. It will never happen. People smarter than that. Now, let me tell you two other brilliant things about Lindsey Grant. You heard about the 10%. Well, let me remind you of Lindsey Grant breakfast program. Let me remind that stupid, ignorant woman who trying to eliminate Lindsey from a roof program which he has no real control over. Everything in St. Kitts controlled by Timothy. So woman, you stupid woman, don't come with no nonsense. You see the feeding program, the breakfast program that Lindsey Grant started? Watch it. It's huge. It's growing like a tree, coming up in good soil. I got the inspiration in me today. Big Lice will still come and get his turn. I'm watching the phone. I'll never take away from Big Lice what I need to give him today on this program. I'm not like that. Last night he went on rude. Wassy. Let me tell you something else about Lindsey Grant. Lindsey Grant has turned out to be the best tourism minister in this country ever. Ever. The first man to bring 1 million tourists to these shows. I wish Lindsey Grant had the time to come here in the studio more often. But he's working very hard on the ground. And we must big up Lindsey Grant. And those of you in number 4 must see to it. From challengers right down to New Guinea, that Lindsey Grant is returned to go back with Eric Evelyn, with Alexis Jeffords, with Mark Brantley, with Sean Richards, with Shani up in number 2, with Chesley coming. I wonder what this here. I see something going across the computer. Okay, gone now. I don't want nothing go wrong with this program today. And I thank WINN FM for putting the system in place today. Nobody complaining. Thank you, WINN FM. Thank you very much. I come in tomorrow if God spare me life to pay off for you all the money I owe you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Don't study to hire them. Lindsey Grant has performed brilliant as a man in this country. You can move Lindsey Grant seeking a 10% for the people without looking at pay in cabinet for himself. Okay, folks, Big Lice downstairs, so I'm going to put on a song and come back. Big Lice, you downstairs? Yeah. I come in for you.
Of kindness, and all you'll get in return is enemy. When man heart is corrupt, it's resistance to love and change. Even when the atmosphere calm and quiet, they shall possess hostility. But it's the nature of the people that surround you. They will come and eat and drink and then go talk you. They always running their mouth on somebody. No good for nothing bastard. Where I say, all you better mark their faces. Hey, like.
Are you think Timothy Harris nice now? Hey. Boy, if Timothy Harris had even a semblance of a chance to be in government again, St. Kitts and Nevis would have been finished.
Try.
Big Lice, you getting volume over there? No volume?
Find out why. Every time a black man waits 1 foot off the ground, is the next black man right there to pull him down. You work so hard, just get something in life they wish you bad. And all of a sudden jealousy and envy, they start wondering who you think you be. Man, they diss you family. Nature of the people that surround you. They will come and eat and drink and then go upon you. And always wishing the worst for somebody. No good for nothing bastards. Where I say, all you better mark their faces. Hey, land and day. Hey, danga dang dang day. Surely suffer those parasites. They are hypocrites and parasites. Man, they will use you for everything you have, and when you got nothing left to give, they target another victim. What is the nature of the people that surround you? So they lie wicked and bad, so they envy, and always looking to prey on somebody. No good for nothing bastard. Where I say, all you better mark your faces. Hey, land and day. Hey, land and day. Separate the tongue, cause inside their head they have another one that is more vicious and lie.
Folks, I'm sorry I had to do this. Any one of you knowing Trent number, could you send a message to Trent and ask him to come to the studio? Life is funny. When I came to the studio this morning, the first thing I did, I went to check the 2 headphones so Big Lice can use whichever one. And they were working. And all of a sudden, Big Lice is here. And nothing coming from the headphones in studio 2. So anybody listening, we have time. Trent live close. He has a car. Could someone give Trent a little text, please? I'll try to call him. But I'll play another song because I am looking around here. I touch anything else that normally, everything is in place. But I'm a little disappointed this morning. It's the same thing I'm saying. I want everything go well with Big Lice today. And we have a problem. Please, any one of you listening, let me play another song and by Ellie Matt and see if I could get this thing sorted out. Any one of you listening, and you know Trent number, please send him a text and ask him to come to the studio, please.
Where are we going? Where are we heading? As a people, we seem so confused, politically frustrated, socially divided. From the old and old massa, we still getting abused. It's like we blind, we just can't see. We're so unprepared for the challenges I foresee. But I try the best to keep us on track. But through greediness, old massa is coming back. We got to wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Redemption joy at night. And who can here go feel and cry? You have to wake up, wake up, wake up. There's an uprising at your door. Like we get so much lick some slavery, and we still want more. While we selling out all our property, there's still basic needs we lack. If we don't check our course immediately, old massa is coming back. Shaka. I am not blaming anyone for seizing control of our little economy. We got we hands full, cause we too ungrateful. Like we ain't learned nothing from our repressive history. There was a time when our people could not vote. But nowadays, like we voting to cut we own throats. So I am warning everyone here in this country to promote your own, and we should start immediately. You got to wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, and smell the coffee, and share more love between you and me. We got to wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Let it sink and sleep, it's embrace a policy that will unite us as one race. For while we thieving and killing and hating each other like a hungry shark attack, please heed this warning, my brother and sister. Massa is coming back. you're blind. Old people say it, and we can't deny it. When your old lies bite you, it bites you hard. You're searching up and down, seeking advice from all around. When we all talent going begging here a yard, why we fight so hard to keep one another down? Independent, yet we sucking up to the ground. Before we promote and support the own, we'd rather see a foreigner on the throne. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Before it's too late, old master is banging hard on the gate. You got to wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. My brethren, wake up quick. He coming, and he coming with a big, big stick. But while we don't want the old brown sugar, white sugar, Bill in the shack, take a look around town and tell me, my sister, if Master ain't coming back.
Folks, I want to tell you this. I'm a little bit disappointed. These things happen sometime in life, you know. Come, let me tell you what happened. All the time. The moment I walk in the studio, the first thing I do every morning when I have a guest, I go over to Studio 2 and I set the mics and make sure they're on. I never see anything like this working in radio. Those of you who are listening and calling me, I want you to know I am different to many people in this world when it comes to politics. I have differences of opinion and I accept and think. So I might have to ask Big Lies. Trent might be on the way, but I might have to ask Big Lies to come around in the studio with me and let's do the program. I really don't know what's happening today. So I will put another song on and I will organize it that Big Lies could stay right here in the studio with me and we will still do our program. Thank you very much for listening. And Trent might get here before 6 o'clock and so Big Lies can go back over there. I try everything here, but I don't know what's going on. Let's go back to this song again and I will try something else. So Big Lies with me is just that you mightn't be able to see him. Something going up there too. We are going to do the program from here until Trent gets here if he comes. So first of all, I want to say thanks to Big Lies. Big Lies, I want to thank you very much because last night I was listening to your live and I was so impressed with some of the things that you were saying. And one of the things that came to my mind and I decided not to forget today is the fact that many people decided not to come on this show with me. And I thoughtfully worked things out and made a decision that, Carlton, you should ask Big Lies to come. But you got to remember when you ask Big Lies to come, his idea is different to yours. Okay, so I'm getting an important...
Ungratefulness, it is worse than witchcraft, my friends. 'Cause you will give 100% fighting without his enemy. When man heart is corrupt, it's resistance to love and change. Even when the atmosphere calm and quiet, they shall possess hostility. But it's the nature of the people that surround you. They will come and eat and drink and then go talk you. They always running their mouth on somebody. No good for nothing bastards. Where I say, all you better mark their faces. Aye. Hey, light and day. Hey, danga dang dang day. Sometimes I try to see if I can find out why.
Okay, so folks, Big Lies and I will do the program right here. So I was saying about Big Lies. One of the things I admire about Big Lies and what impressed me about Big Lies is I asked many people to come and do this program with me, and they never say yes. So I sat down and I asked God to help me to get a guest, because I can do the program myself, but if you get Big Lies, you will be able to get different views, different ideas. Remember what Washington Archibald taught you. You must be willing to accept the views expressed by other people. So this morning I want to say thanks to Big Lies for all the months that he have been here with me every week on Thursday. Chesley will end tomorrow. And I am delighted in my heart that Big Lies took up my offer to come, differing views, which I respected, and I want you all to understand this. Remember, a particular lady in America sent me a lot of money. She said, Carlton, I am a Pam. I don't know you. But you know why I'm sending you this money? Because you bring Big Lies. You are actually showing the people in your country that we should start to think about making a difference. Folks, when this election is over, I am confident that CCM and Pam will form the government. But we have to look after PLP, NRP, and Labour. And what if Labour win? Who they look after? They have to look after all of us. That's how it should be. And people in Labour should be saying it now. Dwyer said it the other day. I was listening to a program and I heard when Dwyer say we need to change certain things. I heard that. So it's 45 minutes we'll get with Big Lies. I want to turn the mic over to him and say, Big Lies, thank you very much for coming. And I want you to know that I enjoy the time spent here with you. And first of all, I want to ask you how your campaign going. I didn't listen to the Labour meeting last night. Did you had a chance to speak last night? And if so, tell us some of the things going on with your party.
Okay, good morning, Carlton. And all is well. Happy to be here, and I must say that it was indeed a pleasure for me to come here, even though it's early in the morning and I'm not a morning person. I made a commitment, and once I make a commitment, I will try and follow through. And I guess we had a good time. We had a good time on the program, educating people. As you say, all the views won't be the same, but I think that we did a good job in getting people ready to go to the electorate. Last night was another massive crowd. I mean, the momentum is with Labour right now. The amount of people that was in Keon is unbelievable. I was very impressed, and I said, wow, to see a campaign go from strength to strength, it was amazing last night. And yes, I had a chance to, once again, they asked me to introduce Dr. Ju. I've been working with him closely. So I had a little 5 minutes on stage. It was electrifying. The crowd was very responsive. And I must say that right now Dr. Drew is on track. I think he's comfortable in the lead, and he's comfortable to take number 8, and hopefully they can get enough seats so that they can form government. And so the labor chain is rolling and rolling well. So Keon was dynamic last night.
Let me ask you something, Big Lice. There was a saying earlier o'clock when the campaign started that Labour will win at least 6 seats. What are you feeling? Is that feeling still there? And if so, how come nobody at all still come to bet me that they won't win 6 seats?
Well,
and no political party will win 6 seats.
Well, if I had the money, I would have bet you, but that money is way above my pay grade. But, I could see the momentum, and as you know, a lot of things. It's the first time we are going into election with 3 parties competing. And so, in my opinion, that could be an issue where we don't know exactly how the spoils are going to be shared. But I can tell you that I've seen the momentum where Labour would have increased their public meetings, and when you talk to people, a lot of people leaning towards getting rid of Timo. That is for sure, getting rid of Timo. And so you find that because of the last 7 years, PAM is suffering from that, and so the numbers may be not as well as they want them to be. But the election is Friday, and if everything goes well, we would see who the winner would be. I'm confident that Labour is going to win 6 and maybe 7, surprisingly, comfortably.
If Labour don't really fulfill what your intentions are or how you feel, do you think Labour will be willing to ever form a government with members from the People's Action Movement, or they will seek to do it alone with Nevis?
Well,
or seek to do it in collaboration with Nevis?
I am one who just want to see the back of Timothy, and whatever it takes. If it takes, some people may disagree, but if it takes Labour, CCM, and PAM, NRP, whoever, to join to bring the end of this tyrannic kind of leadership, that is what I am willing to see. It's going to be up to the political parties and the candidates and the leadership to do that. But for me, anybody except Timothy. And so I am hoping, as I say, if they don't get the mandate that they need, I am hoping that common sense will prevail, because at least they will get a chance to really look into some of the things that are happening under the Timothy watch. And so I am hoping that if not the majority, then they would sit down and come up with a plan as to the way forward for St. Kitts and Nevis. Because we can't really go through this again. It's been toxic, it's been tiring, it's stressful for a lot of people. And they just want to see, a lot of people want Friday to come on Saturday and get rid of this. And so that is my belief and understanding, that the parties would do what it takes. But all said, Labour would still win their 6, so there probably no need for that.
All right, so Big Lice, I'm going to discuss with WINN FM to do a program with you after the election. Would you be willing to come? So the two of us, different sides, different thinking. Would you be willing to come and let's do an hour or 2 hour program if WINN FM grant me the opportunity to do something after the election?
Well, I am always open to those kind of invitations to talk and educate people. So I wouldn't have a problem. The only issue is that it probably could be a little earlier, later in the day. Not so early in the morning. If you get a nice prime
I'm talking
time.
about 11 o'clock.
Okay, if you get a nice
10, 11 in the morning.
That's all right. If you get a nice prime time. The early morning thing is a bit tax on my body.
Well, Big Lice is speaking about prime time, but I could tell you something. The prime time with the baby program over on 106.5 is me make the prime time, Any time for me on radio is prime time. Big Lice, we're going to pause for a couple minutes. I want the audience to listen to Timothy Harris, because in my opinion, Timothy is a wise man. Timothy Harris should not be in charge of this country. We should never allow him come close to politics again in this country, and we should teach him a lesson. But listen how snake-like Timothy sound when he's talking. This tape that I'm playing for you now is around the time 3.5, 4 months ago when we started out with the problems. He understood clearly. He knew all along that he was the problem in Unity. But he did what he wanted and never thought that Mark Brantley and Sean Richard would have stopped him in his tracks. Listen this.
My fellow citizens and residents, today the leaders of the parties comprising the tripartite Team Unity movement met at the Cabinet Room, Government Headquarters, to continue the discussion regarding the way forward for the Team Unity administration. Today's meeting was a follow-up to that held last Wednesday, in which my colleagues put forward some areas of concern for my consideration. Given the nature of the concerns presented, it was agreed that we would meet today, at which time I would present my views on the matters raised. The meeting was cordial, as was the one held last week. At today's meeting, I propose a framework to address the issues raised. This framework included the introduction of a code of conduct for the better functioning of the Cabinet. I further propose.
Now, a code of conduct for better functioning of the Cabinet, which he's in charge of for 7 years. So he didn't care about a good code of conduct then. But after 7 years, actually what happened to this broadcast, he needed some time to continue forming his own party. Remember, from day one, all Timothy Harris wanted was Prime Minister. And from the time he got Prime Ministership, he started out to eliminate Pam. We're talking about a dragon, we're talking about a snake, we're talking about a scorpion. So listen, when you hear Timothy talking, follow him carefully. Let's go back.
That all ministries should be subject to greater accountability to the Cabinet through regular reporting so that members may be better apprised of the workings of the entire government.
So yes, we accuse Dr. Denzil Douglas for not telling us about the passport, how many sold, what money we have over the passport. When we campaigned with Timothy Harris, we thought that all those things would have come forward clearly that we can see. Folks, these things are public knowledge, you know. Big Lice would agree with me that when a man becomes Prime Minister, there are certain things becomes public knowledge that should be released to the public. Once you start hiding them, democracy in trouble. Let's go.
In response to demands that portfolios be reassigned, I committed to undertake a review of the makeup of the Cabinet in due course with a view to improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the government as a whole. I made it clear that I could not allow the constitutional prerogative of the office of the Prime Minister to be diminished.
Yeah, you don't want the office of the Prime Minister to be diminished. But look, you end up calling Sean Mumu. Look, you say all Brantley want is St. Kitts money. Look, Timothy Harris end up saying that every dollar goes up to Nevis is a dollar less for St. Kitts. Excuse me? This is a Prime Minister? This is a man could ever hold public office again in this country? I said no. Let's go back. It's soon finished.
I informed colleagues that further progress has been made with the World Bank giving its consent to undertake a study to advise an equitable revenue sharing arrangements between the federal government and the Nevis Island administration.
So all of a sudden, Timothy Harris became dunce. All of a sudden, Timothy Harris, from a trained accountant, he has now become so dunce that he has forgotten the education that he received. So he ready now to go to the World Bank to let some people come in to tell us how to share the money with Nevis. But you remember what Brantley said? A sixth form student in Charlestown and a sixth form and a student from Fitzroy can come together and work it out. It's easy. Let's go back. Are you think Timothy easy now?
In the interim, the budgetary support to our sister island of Nevis has been increased as per the request of the Honorable Premier.
Yeah, but when the request came to raise the money, he didn't bring the World Bank. He didn't bring the World Bank. He raised it and then say, is he raised it? Self, all of self and none of thee. Let's go back.
I recognize that the political events over the last several weeks have created considerable and undue anxiety, discomfort, and uncertainty for you, the beloved people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It is for this reason that I remain fully committed to the process that would bring this unfortunate situation to an end. I believe at this time our country must have a cabinet that is fully committed to addressing the pressing issues that confront our people, such as job creation, the cost of living, caring for our elderly and the poor, providing housing, maintaining the peace and security within our nation, and ensuring our socio-economic recovery from the pandemic.
Big Lies, let's forget that stupidness, Big Lies. Big Lies, let me ask you something. You believe if Timothy Harris was serious about peace and security in our country, you believe he would have had those around him? They surprised me that they allowed Timothy Harris to lure them into people have to apply to come to St. Kitts. Let's discuss this a little bit. How we reach this far with Timothy Harris when this is an election where the pandemic no longer disturbing us? How is it that people still have to do application to come home, Big Lies?
Well, you can see that it's clearly a plan by Timothy to frustrate the voting population, whether living here or abroad. And so what he's trying to do is to have people change their minds and say, well, I'm not going to St. Kitts because it is frustrating. But it's not working because I see people are coming home. But it is sad, and what is sad for me is that sensible people, or people who believe we have sense, they also have a price that they are working with Timothy Harris to carry out this, because clearly the CMO and Dr. Wilkinson, they are a big part of this. And so they ought to be the leaders as the health practitioners to say that we are the only country in the Western Hemisphere, small independent country in the Caribbean, that is carrying out. Even other countries are now relaxing how you do it. You don't have to apply. I don't mind if you say come with a test, but you don't have to ask permission to come home. I mean, because people are coming left, right, and center, and it is damaging the tourism product, because people change their mind when they go to book and they see these things. And people in America, they book in advance, so they're going to choose another island that is easier to access, you know. And so that in itself is putting us in a real bad situation for the future. I mean, the next 6 months, tourism start again, and people would be booked to go Antigua and these places because of the nonsense that we have in terms of you have to apply to come home. And sometimes people say it's so tedious, it's so difficult to get through to get permission. And another thing I heard yesterday, it seems as though they are examining the controlling the request forms, and so some people are taking a long time before they get entrance into the country. And when people get to the airport, somebody will be, how you get here? Knowing that somebody's name might have been on the list, but it was circumvented, and so on. So it is indeed a trick, but no trick can help Timothy right now.
Because let me ask you something. People commented weeks ago that they believe Timothy gonna pay a double. People commented that he would have had a big concert like with overseas. They even suggested he might bring Timothy. He might have brought in Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and Lucky Dube, and so even though some of them pass, what's going on here? How come we have not heard of a massive concert and the double that so many people were peddling on the street?
Jupon, let me tell you something here. When it comes to politics, reality is a part of the entire process. And sooner or later, one must realize, boy, I can't win this, or I can't treat myself into winning. And eventually they will have to recognize that and give up. And that is why I always say on my live, at the end of the day, Friday, Saturday, Timothy can find himself in a deep hole. And you could see he's already crawling into that hole. Yesterday you recognized it was a desperate cry to come to the nation, to tell the nation that he has having something. And when you listen to the nonsense that he came to tell us.
He was on for sure?
5 o'clock yesterday with a campaign speech asking people to vote for PLP and this and that. On ZIZ, national radio. I mean, this man is trying to break all the rules, and which in the past was not acceptable. And so, you know, he recognized that he has done his time and he can't do anything else. And so, trust me, there are going to be other surprises between now and Friday.
Folks, I want you to be me. I want a clip, a little tape from Mark Brantley in an answer to Timothy, because I am saying in this country that Mark Brantley is one responsible for I being in politics still. I have tremendous respect for Mark Brantley. Mark Brantley, to me, St. Kitts and Nevis is fortunate to have such a skillful, educated man like Mark Brantley. Listen to his answer to Timothy.
Brothers and sisters, I greet you at the most holy time of year, and a time when we all should be focused on the unmerited grace shown towards us by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who made the ultimate sacrifice, giving his life so that we can have a chance at redemption. Regrettably, even as we thank God for his abundant mercies, there are matters here in our federation which threaten to tear the fabric of our young nation apart. The history of our team unity government is well known. PAM, CCM, and PLP came together under an umbrella of team unity, offering a better way for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We were able then, in the harsh winter of political opposition, to put aside our differences, to compromise, and to fashion a framework for engagement amongst each other and for our people, which remains the greatest political idea in the post-independence history of our country. Team unity was designed to emphasize the team and the oneness of purpose. It was designed to bring the people of St. Kitts and Nevis together and to end the decades-old tribalism and parochialism in our country. But to achieve any of these lofty objectives, there was, is, and will always be the need for leadership that is humble, visionary, and inclusive. I remind us all that there is no I in team and no me in unity. We were embraced by our people in 2015 and again in 2020 and catapulted from the harsh winter of opposition into the welcome spring of government. Alas, I regret to say that along the way we have lost our way. After years of efforts internally to resolve issues, the lack of commitment to finding resolution has now created a public spectacle of which none of us can be proud.
After years of speaking internally, now Dwyer have a problem with that. But Dwyer, sometimes it seems to me like he has forgotten or is forgetting. I don't know which English suit what I'm saying, which part of English suit what I'm saying. Douglas still there in labor. And Dwyer been working all the time for Douglas to move aside and give Labour a chance to move, even with Dr. Jew. Dr. Jew can live up to his true potential with Douglas. You don't have to agree with me. Ladies and gentlemen, had Dr. Douglas move out the way, give somebody younger to run for Labour, Labour would have been stronger. Dr. Drew would have had more flair. And I believe Dr. Douglas will help Drew to lose that seat in 8. Let's go back to Mark Brantley, because I want to give Big Lies 15 minutes. Let's listen to this.
Brothers and sisters, a timeline of recent events might prove useful. The PAM had its annual convention on Sunday, March 13th, 2022, at which I spoke. The PLP had its annual convention on Saturday, 26 March 2022. Both conventions made it clear that all was not well. Indeed, it was obvious to all that since the conventions of those two political parties in 2021, there were signs of acute difficulties within the Team Unity construct. And yet, brothers and sisters, the Prime Minister and leader of Team Unity made no attempt to get the PLP, PAM, and CCM together to resolve issues. Concerns about keeping our promises to each other and to our people, concerns about undermining colleagues, concerns about allowing PLP operatives to openly and brazenly attack sitting members of the cabinet.
Don't forget, one particular woman in this country gets $6,000 a month just to abuse Mark Brantley, just to say bad things about Sean Richards and Lindsey Grant and John L. Powell. Let's go back to the board.
Concerns about the absence of transparency within the cabinet. Concerns about the concentration of all of the levers of power exclusively in the hands of the Prime Minister. All were raised, and yet no effort was made to resolve.
Okay, so let's go back to Big Lies. Folks, let me tell you something. Again, I want to thank Big Lies for coming. I don't want to forget. So let me say it now again. Many big PAM people that I thought would have been on my program with me, they failed to come. Big Lies took up the challenge, and I feel very good about Big Lies. And I am hoping, if Big Lies alive on Saturday and I alive, I am hoping that Big Lies and I can have lunch together or a dinner. Big Lies, let's go. You're confident in Labour victory at the poll, but should Labour win this election, would you be working along with me, as we promised, to hold political leaders' feet to the fire and make sure that we do things like something you suggested about going around the country? You and I can go get a contractor, get some self-help, and assist people throughout this country with building up their little homes and so on, make them feel much better?
Well, Carlton, that would be a part of the plan for the Labour Party when they win and get into power. It's really to empower people and give people a better standard of living. But you said something earlier, and I want to come back that.
I know you're going to come after me. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Dr. Drew will win his seat easy. There's no competition. And when you look at the momentum that's building now and everything, it would take a miracle for Dr. Drew not to win his seat. The people are galvanized in St. Peter's, in Keon. The people are ready and coming around. I mean, people now realizing that you don't need your own to vote for. I mean, we have tried our own many times and they have failed us. And another thing came to mind while Mark was speaking. And Mark is a friend of mine. But when it comes to politics, let me tell you something, Carlton. Politics is more than just words. And I tend to realize now in our politics in St. Kitts Nevis, it to me is a matter of people coming on radio and sounding well. But politics is about action. Politics is activities about action. I mean, you could sit there all those years and recognizing that something was wrong, sitting with Timothy, and did nothing about it for all those years. That is what I have a serious problem with.
So you would also have a problem with the past where Dwyer them stay so long with Douglas with problems and they kept them quiet too?
But that is why they lost. That is why they lost. Whenever you have somebody inside there going contrary to what the people wants, and the people are the one with the power,
go ahead, Big Lies.
Eventually things going to break down. And that is what happened with the former administration, the Unity construct. Because they knew They were told by many of us, you included, that things were not good. And they stood there and they sat there or whatever they did and continue to allow Timothy to destroy and to set up himself that no, we cannot get him control because what? He would have put so many things in place. And that, to me, is the vexing point where how can we now believe that these people, the People's Action Movement and the CCM, would change their way of leadership? They change their leadership style. How can they guarantee us that when they get in, it would not be business as usual? I mean, and that is my issue. And so for me to fix it is to bring Jeffrey and Conwis and Miss Henderson and my good friend Samuel and Douglas from Sandy Point. I mean,
Douglas from Sandy Point?
Kenny Douglas.
Beating Sean?
Kenny Douglas.
Go ahead, Big Lice. You ain't look like
Douglas,
you're crazy. You still look good.
Natta and the leader, the Commonwealth leader, as they would say, Dr. Drew, take in charge. And then we can now really see what was going on, investigate, get the country back on track, because I don't believe somebody who was in part of something that was so wrong could fix that. That is my issue. These people were part of the Timothy administration. And so to ask them to fix what they helped to put so wrong, that is the issue I have. How could Sean now go and investigate himself? How could Lindsey Grant go and be critical of himself? No, I mean, they were part of this, part and parcel. They were the ones who created what we have now, because they stood there for all these years. And my thing is, to get it right, we must bring a new, fresh set of ideas. Fix it, investigate it, and people must be working closely with them, the people of the general public, as you say, holding their feet to the fire. That is what I like. If you promise you're going to do something, go into government and carry your promise.
Big Lice, let me ask you something. So all of a sudden in St. Kitts Nevis under Timothy Harris rule, forgiveness is a sin.
It's not a matter of forgiveness, but that they have some unforgivable sin, and to be aiding and abetting a dictator. You create a dictator. You created a dictator. As I said, I always use. You just use the example.
The furtherance of a dictator.
Yeah, but you just use the example. In Labour time, you thought that things weren't going well, right? Yeah. Many of us thought that things weren't going well. What happened? They lost. They went back and had to go back to the drawing board. Now they're back with a new leader, fresh ideas, a visionary man. So my point is, these people need to go back in the naughty corner too, because they failed us. How can we just reward them because they say, what, they didn't know what was going on? They haven't even said that. Look, the People's Action Movement have not said one thing about Hamilton yet. They have not criticized Hamilton in public yet. We need to ask the question, why? Why? And so are we comfortable going into a government, forming a government with these people who could not condemn their member, their deputy leader, who would have crossed and gone with Timothy?
You know, Hamilton got some nasty things up his sleeve about Timothy too.
Well, he said it. So that is the point I'm making. He said it. He said it to somebody that Timothy can't afford to lose. So my point is, if Hamilton is saying that, well, why can't we speak about Hamilton too? How could he and Pam condone this? How can they sit by and watch him go and join with the wicked dictator?
Big Lice, the Bible saying Ecclesiastes 8:11, because sentence against bad had not been executed speedily, the heart of man have become emboldened to do bad. Did you ever thought in your mind that we would live to see Timothy Harris calling Sean Mumu? Talking about Brantley only want our money. Nevis, every cent from St. Kitts going over to Nevis is $1 less from St. Kitts. What's going on here? Is he a real human being?
But that is what power does, You ever heard the clause, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I believe the new encyclopedia or Google need to put Timothy Harris' picture right next to that clause, because he has epitomized. He is the perfect example of how power would have corrupted an individual. And he has been working on this for a very long time. when he was in politics. I mean, you heard Sir Kennedy spoke about certain things back after 2010 and so forth, that Timothy had a plan, a nasty plan. And that is why I'm saying to this population, do not take your eyes off of Timothy on Friday. He going to try all kind of things. The man is sick.
What about moving around to the electoral offices and so outside of his constituency? You think we would have that from him? Because we will not accept it.
Well, definitely we're going to have that. And he's going to try to intimidate, and he's going to try to use the forces to do whatever he wants to do.
But the police not our enemy. Timothy is the enemy.
But the police don't know that. I mean, some of these police, they're just as bad as Timothy Harris. And that is why I was telling them to fight against Timothy, to fight against CCM and PLP and PAM, so that they can bring back some respectability to the police force, to the army, to the nursing fraternity, to the hospital and everywhere else, because everything is in chaos right now.
Are you concerned when Brantley spoke about the passport issue? It's a little frightening. Not for me, because I can live under any circumstances. I am a fighter. But I was very hurt when I heard that Timothy was trying to sell the passport to countries that we were told not to.
Yeah, and that in itself is worrisome. I mean, I spoke about that on my live a couple months ago, where I was looking at the CBI and how it's done. And sometimes a red flag is raised, and Timothy would instruct his people to send it back, and then it comes out good. And so these are things that we have to be mindful of. And I would tell you, when this government change on Friday, whoever is in, and thank God is Labour, that they're going to have a difficult task trying to fix and correct some of the wrongs that Timothy would have done. You know, I mean, even the scandal with the prison, that would have to be looked at and see how and what was in the matter, more than if anything, more than the person was in there.
What about Development Bank?
Oh Lord, listen to me, that place is so right. You imagine the what do you call it, the CEO. He's a manager, but CEO now of the bank, up and down in every constituency, allegedly giving people money for a vote. This is the man who is down there looking at people's money. How can he be trusted? I have a mortgage there for all I know, intents and purposes. Because of my position, he might go and inflate it, and how could we know that he's not doing these things? Because the man has proven to be unscrupulous and nasty. And so how could we have a man at the head of an institution that people have their money and people have their livelihoods in terms of their mortgage and so forth, and he's going to oversee it when he's out there trying to buy votes, as they say, trying to pay people to vote differently? These things can't be right.
Big Lies, we have come to the end of our program, and I want you to know, I want to ask you this question before you go home from the studio on my last show with you. How is it that you and I can do a show like this without getting angry with each other?
I don't know. I mean, people know me. I don't have enemies. I forgive people for what they say, or because sometimes I slip of the tongue. Sometimes they say it's no fault of mine, but sometimes it is. I don't believe. I think I live my life thinking that I don't know everything. I'm far from knowing everything. And so what I learned to do is respect other person's opinion. And I think it's because of my training. I mean, when I was in university, we had some philosophical courses that we had to do. And philosophy is one of those courses where you have to be open-minded to other theories and other ideas. You have to be accommodating, because when you look at where we are coming from, we're not even certain that the theories that we embrace is the best theory. For us, democracy might be the best theory, but a man in Cuba, communism might be his best theory. And people live with different theories and different ideas. But we all need to get along, and so we need to embrace contending ideas, embrace people with differences, because you know what, Carlton? All of us grew up in different environment. And I'll give you a simple example before I leave. I grew up in Keyon. I never see the sun set all my life until I go to Sandy Point. If you grew up in Sandy Point, you would not be able to experience the sunrise because you're behind a hill until you go to Keyon. And so you got to recognize that every one of us will have a different perspective and a different experience. And so we need to sometimes listen to people, understand what they're saying, because we all come from different environments. Now, we have the ability to read and research, so we will know if what you're saying is right. But I'm saying the reality is all of us are coming from different backgrounds, and it would be best for us to be able to accept other people's views. Yes, we're going to argue and so forth, but deep down inside, at the end of the day, your view is your view. You say, Pam going to win, Sissy I'm going to win. I would ask you what you're drinking because you seem to be, off the chain. But the thing is, I am saying Labour going to win. You ask me, Big Lies, how you could say that? That would never happen. And at the end of the day, on Saturday, we will find out if everything goes well. That is the point. If everything goes well, because
you hope that we'll have a good election there without problems.
And I'm praying for that, and I hope that the people, the powers that be, would ensure that. Only the people could ensure that, the powers that be. And the supervisor election, everybody must make sure things are in place and things are not partial to any party. You understand? And so we are hoping for a good election, and at the end of the day, the best man or the better person would win.
Big Lice, I want to thank you. I am thrilled. I was very thrilled to have you over the past months, and I'm looking forward speaking to you right after the election, live on this radio station.
No problem, Carlton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're in tune to WINN FM 98.9. These things happen. Folks, you know what I can't believe? Absolute truth, I'm telling you. Funny things could happen in life. When I came to the studio this morning, the first thing I did was to put down my bag. I didn't even come to studio 1. I went to studio 2, set up the 2 mics on either side to see which one Big Lice will prefer. They were working. By the time Big Lice got in the studio, I saw him over there like giving me signals. They're not working. Since Big Lice came here, I saw the top computer gone. I am not saying this to cause any problem, I'm just saying, look how life is. The streaming computer, I see like a blank screen on it, and some other writing came on. So I don't know if you all get to hear in the outer world Big Lice on the streaming with some of what he had to say. But you see, life is like this. Things could just happen. You don't need to blame anybody and so. Oh, I want to thank, Big Lice, have a good day. I want to thank WINN FM from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity to do this program. They never had to. When I came from 106.5 to negotiate with WINN FM, I had no problem whatsoever. And I thank them because I was able to get my message across with Lindsey Grant, his meal program, his 10% that he forced Timothy to pay to civil servants when they were in cabinet trying to get a benefit for themselves. I'm glad to speak about Lindsey Grant in terms of the lady down in number 4 who tried to bring him down all of a sudden about a roof program with Austin. That's stupidness. I spoke about Lindsey Grant being the best tourism minister. I spoke about Mark Brantley being the best foreign minister we have ever had. Sean Richards is a big accountant. He has the experience to govern. He was in opposition for many, many years. Experience in opposition. He was deputy prime minister for nearly 7 years or 7 years. You don't discount that experience and discount Pam. There are so many people believe that Timothy was trying hard to unseat Pam. That's correct. But we will show Timothy at the polls that he would not be able to keep down Pam, and we will laugh at him jumping up in the street. I will be in the street not only in St. Kitts but in Nevis. Those of you from overseas who live in here, please, I am asking you, when you go to the polls, vote for Pam. You'll see a hat. Next to the hat, put a nice little X in the box. If you're in Nevis, when you go to the polls, vote for CCM. It's a movement. Forget the unity with Timothy. Timothy doesn't know anything about unity. Until you hear from me again tomorrow morning, God's Spear Life, with my last program. Again, thanks very much to you, WINN FM, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much, WINN FM. Morning devotion start now.
Thank you for waking us up this morning. Lord, we thank you for the gift of life. And Lord, as we go about our daily tasks today, Lord, help us to make the right choices and to try sincerely to live your commandments of love. Amen. Our reflection today is making the right choice. The gospel is taken from Matthew chapter 22, verses 15 to 21. And as usual, I'll be reading from the Christian Community Bible. Here begins the reading. The Pharisees withdrew and took counsel on how they could trap Jesus with his own words.